Often on photo walks through towns and cities, we tell people to look up, look at the wonderful buildings around you. However, sometimes there's also a lot of merit in looking down. And I found these fantastic mosaics on the floor here. I'm going to try and find a way to tell their story in a few shots on my camera. Now I'm choosing to tell this story as a series of 3 images, and I'm thinking of it as I might a filmmaker. So my first shot is an establishing shot. How does my subject sit in its context? So I'm taking a step back. I don't have a wide-angled lens on this phone, but actually that's fine if I get down low. Let's see our subject in the context of its environment. So the paving, the buildings in the background, the hedgerows in the kind of medium ground here, but very much this mosaic on the floor in the foreground. So I'm just trying to get it sort of to cut the third line. Handily, I've got a spirit level on the screen here, so I can keep myself honest. And I think that's basically all we need. Right, so in a filmic sequence, the next shot that I want is really of the subject, a sort of mid-shot really, where the context, we've understood that. Now let's look at what it is that we're focusing on. And for that, in this sequence, I'm just going to do a simple top-down shot. Handily, this phone has got this little crosshairs, which is a sort of digital spirit level. And when it's yellow, that means I'm looking straight down, because we've got a geometric pattern on this floor with the paving and with the mosaic itself. We want to try and reflect that as best as we can. And I think this shot does that. I think we're pretty square. Yeah, there we go. I think that is the mid shot. Finally, we want some detail. And the detail shot here as part of a shot sequence just tells us something that you would only really learn when you were close up. And often we would call that a close-up shot. So again, nothing too clever required really. I'm just going to put my phone down really close to this flower in the middle here. I think is probably the part of this mosaic that stands out the most. Now, to do that, I'm just going to get my camera nice and close up. And what I really like about this camera is there's quite a good fall off, a drop off, by which I mean if I tell it to focus on a particular thing, particularly when you are low down, quite close up to it, the background, it falls off, it just loses a bit of its sharpness. Same with the foreground as well. And that's good if I'm trying to direct my viewer's attention to a particular point on the image. So what I'll actually do, I'll have a look at the 2x zoom, and with a 2x zoom, can I get, yeah, okay. So with a 2x zoom, the fall off is even more dramatic. I'm just going to rest my fingers on the top here to keep the image nice and steady. So with my flower in the foreground and my bird in the background, you see how when I tap to focus on the bird, the flower in the foreground goes out of focus, and vice versa. I like that because I'm hinting at what the rest of the image has, but I'm focusing very much on this flower. I'm just going to bring my camera just a millimetre or so further back, so I'm getting it all in frame. There we go. All of it's in frame, and I can just see the beak and the eye of the bird and the fish in the background. Lovely. Just double check my focus. Yes, I am. Lovely. And you know, I can't think how many people must walk past, even walk over this mosaic every day, but I really hope that with these shots we've been able to capture this that tells a story in a way that maybe some people don't notice. Let's see if we've succeeded. Here is our wide establishing shot, and it's very much the sort of scene that you might see if you were walking up towards the mosaic on the floor here. It does its job. If I had a wide-angled lens on my phone, maybe I might have been able to tell this story a little bit differently, but overall, I see the subject in the scene, it gives me context, it does its job, and it's a nice clean shot, so I'm happy enough with this. The second shot in the sequence tells me what the subject actually is. It's a clean, simple shot, top down, onto the mosaic. If I'm being critical, maybe there's a little bit more room on the left-hand side of the frame, to the edge of the frame, than there is on the right, but overall it's pretty square on. I could easily cure that with a bit of a crop, but again, this is as a storytelling device, this definitely does its job. The close-up shots are ripe for creativity, and as I suspected, the camera on this phone has really helped here with that subtle fall off from the point of focus on the flower a third of the way up the frame, just losing a bit of sharpness in a pleasing way of the bird right at the end. So I'm capturing some detail, I'm developing the story, I'm helping our viewer to understand more about the mosaic than they might just have seen as they were walking past it. That's the storytelling element here, and I think it's done a really good job. Posting these three as a carousel, as a triptych, I think will really do this mosaic justice.